We'll
So
start.
This meeting is being recorded.
I'm gonna start with the name, the water conducting tissue into which two
I
probes are
can't hear you
inserted.
now, Hamza. Louder.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. So the first one says the answer for 3A, part one is this tissue is known as xylem tissue or the
Mm-hmm.
xylem tissue.
Mm-hmm.
Second part is describe how the structure of this water conducting tissue is adapted to its function. So I wrote xylem is a long, narrow, and continuous tissue without a cross wall of the cells. This ensures that the water moves continuously through it. Moreover, the walls of xylem contain a thick structure called lignin, which gives the tube its support and withstands the pressure of the water passing through the xylem.
Achha, so you talked about what? You talked about the lignin and what else did you say?
I talked about the no cross walls present.
No cross walls present. Lignin and no cross walls present. Okay, correct. Let's move on.
Let me
Let's,
read the second part.
huh.
The next part says explain the mechanism of water movement from the roots up to the tree to the leaves. All right.
Hmm.
So for this, I wrote this process mainly occurs due to the transpiration pull. The transpiration pull is a mechanism which utilizes the unequal pressure as a mean to transport water from the absorbed roots all the way to the leaf and the stems through the xylem vessel. This transpiration pull is created with the help of water molecules evaporating from the surface of spongy mesophyll cells and passing through the intercellular spaces and then proceeding to be diffused out of the leaf through the stomata, which decreases the pressure in the leaf. This then forces the water molecules absorbed by the roots to be transferred to the xylem vessel. Due to cohesion, water molecules tend to stick to each other and flow continuously in the xylem vessel till they arrive in the mesophyll layer out of the cell.
Great, excellent. You haven't missed any point, Hamza, mashallah.
At all?
Yes. Actually, you know what I've done is I've kept the mark scheme in front of me. I'm looking at two devices. So the mark scheme had sort of 10 points, and I think you've mentioned all of them. In fact, there was not even a need to mention all the points, but anyways, any student can mention all the points. But out of those 10, of course, 4 points are there, right? So good. Let's move on.
Um,
Yes, you want to say something?
no.
Acha.
I'm on the part C1, right?
Yes.
It says so it says describe the rate of water conduction in tree A.
Okay. 3A. Yes.
Hi.
3.
So I said
Okay.
in tree A, the water conduction rate is fairly slow initially.
Mm-hmm.
It's fairly slow initially, right after the fourth hour. However, it drastically increases between the seventh hour and the eighth hour from 0.5, the unit which is dm. What's it called, Miss? I'm not sure how to say this properly.
Uh,
What's dm?
decimeter cube.
Okay, so decimeters cubed. So decimeters cubed per hour to 2.5 decimeters cubed per hour. This rate then keeps alternating between the 8th and the 15th hour, occasionally being high and then being lower. However, at the 15th hour, however, at 15 hours and 30 minutes, the water takes a turn and decreases continuously until it finally stops at the 24th hour.
Correct. Correct. Fine.
Then
Okay. The
part
mark
two.
scheme says that if the student uses the unit once, like for example, decimeter cube per hour, then it's okay. It's not necessary for him to keep repeating this, word decimeter per hour every time he's quoting data from the graph. But the mark scheme says that if the student has not used units at all, then he should be penalized once, which means that if you would have not said chemist so and so decimeter cubes, I would have cut at least 1 mark. Okay, so did you get it?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Let's move on to this one. Suggest how the ecologists use the data. Part two.
So in this question, I roll by calculating the area under the graph.
Achha, so by
By calculating the area under the graph.
and how did you do that? Did you add the volume of water conducted for each hour?
Miss, I didn't calculate it. It just asks, suggests how the ecologists use the data. So then I just said by calculating the area under the graph. That's all I wrote.
Correct, correct, correct. Okay. Then we move on to this part three, and they're asking you reasons for the different rates of water conduction in these three trees. So, what are the reasons?
So what I wrote this. One of the reasons can be due to the larger size. More root hair cells are present to absorb the water. This can increase the rate. Additionally, the transpiration pull can perhaps be greater. This may take place because of the distinctive surface area of the leaves. And I wrote the last reason can potentially be because of this capacity of the xylem vessel. Some xylem vessels are strong, being able to withstand higher pressures, whereas others are weaker.
Achha, instead of saying strong and weak, you know what you should say? You should say that these trees might be belonging to different species, so hence the different diameters of xylem. The strong and weak is nothing.
Okay.
Huh. Excuse me.
All right. And Miss, as for the last question, right?
Yes. Wait,
I'm not. I have.
wait, beta. So your reasons should focus on the different rates of transpiration due to the different sizes or the numbers of the leaves, okay? Which will give you different rates of evaporation, number one. Secondly, your reason should focus on the different species. And when you say different species, you're actually giving an indication that in a different species, the diameters of xylem will be different. Another thing you can focus on is that these trees might be having different environmental conditions. For example, what are those factors that affect the rate of transpiration?
Number one is humidity. Wait, let me recall these. It's humidity, the surface area of the, what do you call, the leaf, right?
And temperature
The temperature.
and wind speed.
Yeah, and wind speed. I forgot those. Yeah.
Right. So then you can also like these are the possible answers. That's why I'm discussing this with you. What about part D?
For part D, Miss, I can't really recall this, but I guess this was a general knowledge question.
Yes.
So in this I wrote that it says describe the effect
In
on
fact,
the
okay, stop. This was not a
yeah.
general knowledge question. This is a question on the chapter ecology, and I haven't done ecology with you because, like, if it's a past paper, then it is taken, like all the chapters are taken into account. So you can just leave it if you want to.
But I still just did it to the best of my
Acha,
knowledge.
okay. Then tell me, what did you write?
Yeah, so I wrote it destroys food chains. Trees are producers with the help of which food chains continue. Without producers, species would start dying. As they would have no successful consumer. No, sorry, successive consumer. The temperatures also increase as the oxygen produced by the trees prevents global warming. However, with no trees present, global warming would rise. Additionally, water would start erupting from the ground. Without trees, the water wouldn't be consumed, and it would at some point leave the ground, which could harm natural habitats and life due to overflow. Lastly, cutting down trees can also harm plenty of birds who have their nets constructed on them. On
More or less, your answers are correct with some like points which you have missed, but doesn't matter because I haven't done ecology with you. So overall, I would say that you have answered your structured questions very well. It's good. And then what you can do is that you can later on, when you have time, you can just go through these answers, right? And calculate the score and just message the score to me that how much did you get out of 30? The answers are right in front.
Okay.
Right? So we will end the class right now. And, right. And we'll meet inshallah next week and I'll be starting a new unit.
Okay, miss.
Okay. Allah Hafiz.